one. All right, very simple one. All right, good. Here it is. We are going to assume the following structure. There is a cause of it all. Right? Sometimes it is called God. And where we're going, I'm going to slowly urge you to use two other terms. The good or the one. Now I want to put it now in cosmological terms and then pull it away from the cosmological terms. All right. At the moment of bringing all of this universe of ours into existence, the metaphor we're going to use is like an artist, an artisan. For as an artisan must have an image in his mind to create, and as this great artist here focuses on the object, which he may internalize, and then with his skill and his, he takes the object, which is an idea then, and with his skill he fashions a copy. And that is the creation. In a similar way then, God, in creating the universe, must have necessarily have had an idea, capital I, an idea which contained everything that was later to develop and emerge and will develop and will emerge in its simplicity. There it is. We're going to call this the idea in the mind of God. Then God then, reflecting on the idea, then generates the universe. And therefore, this is the copy and this is the model.
I have a question. Does he generate the universe outside of himself?
Well, nicely enough, at this point, there's no inside or outside.
That's true.
Not watch, not true yet, because
Well,
this is a cosmology at this moment. So cosmology means generating a universe which is outside of himself.
Okay.
But insofar as this is an idea in the mind of God, it's not yet generated outside of him. Now, what's an important feature of this notion is that this, therefore, is an idea. It is an intelligible model. It's an intelligible model. Now, intelligence or mind just doesn't float around. It needs something within which it can then function, which is sometimes called soul. So therefore, God, in creating this universe, had to then generate a soul within which then the intelligence and all of the physical attributes of the universe could then be put. So we then have three things. We have God, the intelligible, soul, and then we have soul in body, or this therefore is called incarnation, how the soul gets into the body. Or let's put it in another way. See, the very idea of a cosmology is that if God is creating based upon this intelligible model in his own mind, what is this mystery? Because this idea is sometimes called a form. How did this idea or form get imposed upon the universe? because the whole universe exhibits all the order and the intelligibility of a higher idea. This is sometimes called the problem, again, of incarnation, right? How to bring something into being in a universe. Now, take a look at now what we have in the fourth letter. Because this very discussion of how forms enter into matter, or in general, how out of nothing, no thing, was the cosmos generated. Well, it had an intelligible model. Okay, it had an intelligible model. Doesn't that mean then that idea, which is the model, had to in some way be imposed upon something? Something had to be there? And therefore the form then is going to be imposed on matter. That's the problem of incarnation. That's incarnation. You could take it on a higher level. We can now take it theologically, and we can say the idea in the mind of God is the Logos. Well, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's the Logos. If that's the case, you see, the first creation must have been the Logos. The first creation had to be the idea in the mind of God. Therefore, that's sometimes called the Son of God. The Son of God, the idea in the mind of God. And the Christian theology wants to say that that Logos, Son of God, became flesh. Okay? That's another incarnation. But the same problem, same problem. Now, if we can solve the problem of incarnation in any way, if we can bring any clarity to it, we'll also simultaneously get somehow an idea of how the basic idea in the mind of God emerged from the mind of God as a form and in some way generated the cosmos with all the forms and intelligibility which we know. That's the problem with incarnation on yet another level. So the fourth letter. Right? Now, let's see if I make sure we have this. Now, intelligible, another word for intelligible that we've been using is, of course, mind. Same thing, mind, intelligible. Therefore, in the fourth letter, he talks about Jesus becoming incarnate. See, that's the way in which you can talk about this very process. Now, another way of talking about it is to say that the Logos is an archetype, a pure archetype, a symbol of all that man can be. And it represents within himself the full potentiality of man on the highest level. Then we have the same question. How can the Logos, as an archetype, possibly enter into the universe? How can the archetype, which is normally an archetype is something separate from the way in which it manifests itself, it remains separate from the things, just as much as anything that made this chair. Since there's so many just like the chair, there must be a model that stamps them all out. That stamp that stamps them all out is not itself a chair, but it stamps out all the other chairs. Therefore, it's removed from all the other chairs. It's a model, it's an archetype. But here, right, Christianity wants to say that that archetype also came into the universe as a chair among other chairs, as a man